Hey everyone, my name is Grant, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my setup of the RTRC RTB. Now, I'll throw a disclaimer out. Just because this setup tends to work for me, it doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for you. Most of the time this setup works really well at high grip tracks here in the States. This is kind of a benchmark setup that you guys could use at these types of high grip tracks. But we all drive differently. We all like the way a car might behave or react in cornering. So what I would say is this is a great place to start, but of course make whatever minor adjustments or tweaks you need to going forward. So let's just get right into it. All right, so here's the car. We're going to try and go through this as quickly as possible. We'll start from the front and then work our way, go through the middle. That'll be pretty quick, and then talk about the back. So let's just jump right into it. As you could tell already, we use the green spring in the front as the second softest spring option. And for grease, I pair that with 20,000 K Marca grease. I actually use this all around on all four shocks. Works great. If you don't have any Marca grease, there are some alternatives. I know many people have the Kyosho greases, so I would say either the 15K, the yellow grease, or the 30K. The shocks I have stood up with a 1mm shim here. And that's just to help the car go through some of the what potentially could be some bumpy parts of the track a little bit easier. Inevitably, with the RCP, they're puzzle pieces, so they might not completely be laid flat. There might be some bumps around the track. So standing the shocks up just helps a little bit work through those bumpy sections. The front toe of the car is 2 degrees, and then the camber is 1.5. I ended up taking out a lot of camber in both the front and the rear. The diff is extremely tight. Like if you hold it and the wheel and then you try and turn this one, it takes a lot to eventually slip. It's pretty much locked. And then for that, I use this Marca diff grease. If you don't have that, there's the Micro RC Syndicate grease. That stuff's great as well. Option parts, you see the aluminum front knuckles there. That's just like a durability thing. Moving on to the center of the car, the electronics layout. Originally, I did not have a transponder here. I actually just used the built-in transponder to the receiver. However, my new body has so much paint in the back window section that sometimes it won't pick up. So that's why I hooked up a new transponder here. Otherwise, the wiring would look a little bit cleaner. As you can see on the right here, we have the AGFRC steering servo. This is the taller one. I use the taller one because the carbon fiber side pod here has like this perfectly fitted recess for this servo. You don't have to run it. I've seen plenty of people run the slimmer servos and they do just fine. I just like the way this one fits. MWX 550 milliamp battery, the big block. That's just nice to have so that you don't worry about dying in the main. MWX 5500 kV motor paired with the MWX speed controller. I'm using an 11-tooth pinion gear with the bigger of the 2 spur gears that come with the kit. So this is the 36-tooth spur. And that's pretty much all the power that I need. I have a little bit of boost in turbo. However, you don't need that at all tracks. If you have a pretty long straightaway, then I'd say yes. Otherwise, you can run it in blinky just fine. And then that's pretty much it for the center of the car. I'll flip it to the bottom and just show that I'm running a stock insert here. You can opt for a brass one to calm the car down a whole lot, but you don't really need it. Onto the rear end of the car, you could Already tell, red springs, the softest spring option that's in the rear, again with 20,000 K grease. The same millimeter of shin in the front is what's also used in the rear. Also use the aluminum rear knuckles or rear hubs. The toe for the rear is 2 degrees in, and then the camber is also 1.5 degrees. The diff is looser than the front. I can actually turn the wheel without much stress. It's still pretty tight in the rear, but you'll have an easier time turning it. Obviously, like, you guys can't reach your hand through the screen and feel these diffs, so it's hard to get accurate readings from this. But all I can suggest is, you know, when you do adjust your differentials, 5-minute turns makes the world of a difference. If you go to like turn your driver, like just a little bit like that can really lock up the diff, or just a little bit loose can suddenly make it so much looser. So don't wrench too hard on your diffs, because just fine increments really does make a huge difference. Tires. So I did mount a fresh set of tires on this car. I keep it very simple for myself. It's very easy to remember this. All I run, here they are, is for the rear, this is a slick 15-degree tire. Okay? And then for the front, it's also a 15-degree tire. But I know there's like a ton of versions of the Marca tire, so ignore the 20 here. This should be 15. It's a version 14. So MZR V14 F15. All right? So 15 in the rear, 15 in the front. Keeps it super simple. This has been like, this tire setup was recommended to me by Lee Mori. So that's what I've been running. I really like that setup. There's just one thing you gotta pay attention to or watch out for, and that is with the Marca front tire, depending on track temperatures and grip level, especially with the 15 degrees, for some reason, they wear very quickly. So just pay attention to that. Change your sidewall discs often. You might have to after every 2 runs, or maybe even depending on temperature and grip, maybe after 1 run, you might have to go down in disc. So just pay attention to that. But I've felt like this is the fastest setup so far, at least for me, at the tracks that I race at. An alternative, I want to give you some alternatives here, is for the front tire here, is a PN KS medium. Ignore the 11 millimeter. That's for the wider front tire. You'd look for 8.5. The KS medium feels a lot like the Marca 15-degree front. However, this one feels a little bit faster, and it's because the Marca tire, I feel like, pulls the car into the corner more, rather than a lot of the rear grip doing the work. Whereas the stamped PN front tire kind of just like holds on during the turn rather than pulling the car. I think you get a little more corner speed with the Marca tire. The only trade-off is that these will wear faster than a PN tire. The last thing, oh, I should say rims too, sorry. The rims are 19 millimeter, both in the front and the rear. And I'm using a full height tire, not a low profile. So what that helps achieve essentially is with a 19 rim and a full height tire, and a 19 rim and a full height tire, both of these are within like similar diameter of each other, and it just makes the car drive very well. I like to keep the full diameter of these, of the rear and the front, within 0.5 millimeter if I can help it. If it's a full millimeter, it's okay, it's not going to kill you. The car will still drive amazingly fast, but I felt it best when these are kept at a similar diameter. I have a number 1 disc on this, but I would recommend if you grab a Marca tire fresh out of the package and you put it on a 19 diameter rim, you're gonna notice some sidewall peeking out a little still, and you know if that's happening, you are bound to traction roll in all-wheel drive. So luckily, there is a 0 now, even a -1 sidewall disc for the RTRC rims. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. You can throw it fresh out of the package onto that rim. But I've been practicing with this a little bit, haven't trued it at all. It's been okay. But yeah, you can throw a 0 or a -1 number disc on, and then you'll have the perfect amount of sidewall. The last thing is the modification that we've made. So a couple of our teammates noticed, just like, you know, seasoned drivers have noticed, that this car, it has some pretty aggressive turn-in, and that has to deal with the active toe. So, you know, you can see the toe right now. It's got a natural toe out. However, if you notice these turnbuckles, this is actually swapped. It normally mounts from the bottom, and we flipped it to the top. When it's mounted on the bottom, like the original manual asks you to do, you get a strong active toe in. This would compress, and then the wheel would actually go in, which makes the car a little bit more edgy. It does give you some steering, but you are more at risk of flipping. So what we did was, to really calm the car down, is we flipped it. That's the obvious thing. And then the somewhat more subtle thing is we took our top deck here, the carbon top deck, and we dremeled it off. This bridge part here. You don't cut all of it, but just like that one part that bridges these two carbon pieces. The reason for that is when the turnbuckle comes up, if you don't get rid of that carbon, you risk that ball cup rubbing against the carbon piece there. But now what this achieves is when you compress the suspension, there's just a tiny bit of toe out. So the car already has toe out, but it gives you a little bit more of active toe out. This has calmed the car down so much. It's not so calm where it feels like you're scrubbing speed. You're actually able to corner a lot more confidently and stay on the throttle more, so you can go faster. You could also get away with running a more aggressive tire and not worry as much about traction rolling or flipping. Of course, I'm not gonna like tell you that this is gonna like make you take your lap times off by like a whole second, right? But if you're comfortable with it, you can do this modification as well. I believe Tomas plans on making an adjustment part so that you don't have to do this modification. But if you can't wait for that and you want to try it out right away, by all means. Shout out to Rintaro, who posted on Facebook about another alternative you can do. He even made a YouTube video about it, which I'll leave in a link in the description. But he took the rear knuckles and he put them in the front, which is great because the rear knuckle, the ball stud screws in this way rather than from the top or the bottom. And that is creating like a neutral active, like there's no active toe, right? And if you did that in the front, you took the rear knuckles and you threw them in the front, you'd essentially achieve the same thing, right? The suspension would compress and whatever toe the wheel is at would stay at that same degree. So Tomas says that's an option too. He says he recommends doing this more than that only because of a reliability thing. I believe he's tried using rear knuckles in the front before and it was good for a while, but then it caused like a break or something. As you can tell, he tried to make this car as symmetrical as possible, including the hubs. But that was like the one thing he had to compromise, the rear knuckles being different from the front ones. But that's pretty much it. All right, so that was the setup. I hope you guys got something out of it. If I missed anything, left anything out, please let me know. If there's something you found in your own setups testing things out, share it in the comments or in the threads with everybody. I'd love to hear everyone's feedback. But that's essentially it. All right, the next video will be a setup of the two-wheel drive, the RTA, specifically with the conversion kit. I'll do something for stock spec and for mod. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye.